Good evening and welcome to the Big Stomp live here on the Bunkazilla Twitch channel. Now, you're probably wondering where the Raggedyman is. Don't worry, he's absolutely fine. He's taken a little bit of a well-deserved break. So it is I, Iain Boulton, otherwise known as the Bunkazilla Station Controller, manning the console tonight and keeping the stomping going on. So this is the Big Stomp, where we talk about the monstrous world of geek and pop culture, with guests joining us to talk about topics that they feel are quite important to talk about today. So why don't we bring in our guests? So first and foremost, he is the co-host and co-producer of a number of very good podcasts on Bunkazilla. We've got Hustlers of Culture, Royal History UK, and Binges and Box Sets. It is, of course, Hugh K. David. Hello, Hugh.
Hello. How are we doing?
I'm doing lovely. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks.
Wonderful. Welcome back to the show. I think this is like your third, fourth outing.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. My other co-host on Real History Jenna does a few more than I do, but yeah. I'll try to turn it on when I can.
Lovely. But welcome back. Welcome back to the world of the Big Stomp. Right, joining him, we have the wonderful bundle of good-hearted joy that is Harriett, better known to everyone on the social media realms as MangaGirl. Hello, Harriett.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
And you are, and as well, you are returning to the Big Stomp again. You've been on a couple of times. Looking forward to the fun discussions tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, good. Good. And last but not least, she is our resident redhead rambler, but she's also the reigning, defending, undisputed quiz smash champion. It is, of course, the redhead rambler herself, Lizzie.
It's all lies. It's all lies. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, we will continue to call you that until Friday. You might have your title, you might not have your title. It's so exciting.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. How are you doing, Lizzie?
I am very well. And how is chat today?
Well, let's see. If you're in the chat, do give us a roar. And, of course, do get involved in the conversation throughout the show. We would love to hear from you on the topics that we talk about, and we will share comments on the screen as we go along. And Lizzie has already given out a first roar of the evening. Hello, Al wants to play games. Hope you are doing well this evening. So why don't we go straight into the fun? And speaking of fun, let's talk about the fun that EA is currently having. Lizzie, if you would please kick us off.
Oh, EA, where do we start with EA? So EA are getting sued again. Well, they've had a lawsuit filed against them due to their loot boxes, because everyone loves a loot box. I'm sorry, my internet's having a moment on me. So a lawsuit filed in Canada relates to EA games going back to about 2008, saying that this is unlicensed gambling, and Canada apparently has very strict laws about unlicensed gambling.
Well, this is not the first time I think we have talked about loot boxes. I think the last time we talked about loot boxes was many months ago on the Big Stomp. I think even before we did the Twitch side of things. So yeah, loot boxes, nothing particularly new there, but it just seems to be a constant thorn in video gaming at the moment, I suppose. I guess it just robs the fun. Oh, really? I don't know what you guys think.
It does seem like a gamble. Well, it is a gamble every time you go on. It's always that urge of you want to try again to see if you can get that special skin or to get that special weapon, and it's dangerous. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I did play Overwatch, not much, but when the special seasons like the Halloween or the Valentine's would come out, and you think, you just put a bit more in, and then suddenly you just have to think, no, I have to stop, because you could put hundreds of pounds in without you realizing, and people could do it. I mean, kids are doing it. I mean, I think with Fortnite as well, that's loot boxes as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is to a degree. Correct me if I'm wrong, guests, and definitely in the chat. I think the majority of certain loot boxes, especially in games like Fortnite and Overwatch, they don't really give you much of an advantage. I guess it's a different tact if you look at something like the EA Sports range, like FIFA, Madden, and stuff like that, because they have their ultimate teams, and that's another level of insanity that I'd never really want to go near at all, to be perfectly honest. It's like, yes, I don't mind playing FIFA now and then, but I am not to a level where I'm going, I must be addicted to the ultimate team, because I tried playing it, I didn't understand it, and I just went, no, I'll stick with season mode, thank you.
I mean, you're bringing up that, things like cosmetics in loot boxes. You're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. But actually, cosmetic items in loot boxes is mentioned in the lawsuit distinctly.
Oh.
Because it says Apex Legends cosmetic items are associated with player prestige, and in particular, rare cosmetic items will provide a player with more prestige than common one, it states. Players who use the default avatars are looked down on by other players. There is therefore an incentive for players to purchase multiple loot boxes in order to obtain a more valuable and more prestigious rare cosmetic item.
Wow.
So, because a lot of people have gone, well, loot boxes, it's just cosmetic stuff. Like, it's not really pay to win. There are pay to win loot boxes out there.
Yeah.
We've all seen them. I know Star Wars Battlefront 2 had a massive one, so they had to redo it because everyone hated it.
That was quite notorious, I remember.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, Star Wars Battlefront 2, that is really the one that kicked off the backlash against loot boxes, is not mentioned in this lawsuit. A load of other games are, but not that one.
Wow.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they did a massive overhaul to Battlefront 2, and from then on, throughout most of the months, the experience and the gameplay has got better, and the experience has got better. It was just very badly broken at the start. The whole sort of loot box mechanic side of things was so badly broken at the start that it really soured a launch. I know there was lots of reports when the game launched that Disney were not particularly happy with EA because it was getting lots of negative press.
Yeah, I can list you. The lawsuit covers a wide variety of games released between 2008 and the certification of the suit, which was a bit earlier in October. About the article I'm quoting is from the 22nd, so I think it was sort of mid-October. So it's FIFA 09 to 21. Madden NFL 10 to 21, NHL 11 to 21, NBA Live 14 to 19, UFC 2 and 3, Apex Legends, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield 1, Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda, Need for Speed Payback, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare and Garden Warfare 2, Plants vs. Zombies 2, It's About Time, Star Wars The Old Republic, Command & Conquer Rivals, Heroes of Dragon Age, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, The Sims Mobile, and War Friends. But there is a catch-all phrase too. Such other games developed and published by the defendants that may become known to the plaintiff. So just because it's not listed in there doesn't mean they can't sue you over it.
I'm surprised I didn't hear Dungeon Keeper Mobile in that list. And that's another notorious one from EA.
Well, see, the lawsuit, all the articles that I read about it just said it was brought up against EA by two plaintiffs in Canada. I have then found an article that actually names the two people that brought this lawsuits. I'm not entirely sure if we want to read their names out on
No.
But one of them lives in British Columbia, who purchased loot boxes in the Madden NFL series of game, and the guy from Ontario spent money on the same model in the NHL games. And I know people spend a lot of money on those. That
sounds like it's the Ultimate Teams. And I know, particularly on Twitch, where we obviously are broadcasting tonight, there are channels dedicated to obviously the whole experience of the Ultimate Team, but regardless of the game, if it's FIFA, NHL, and so forth. So it's like, the fact is that it's been an absolute big business for obviously EA, whether people agree with it or not. And I think one way the everlasting effect of loot boxes as well is it does hamper newer games. It does hamper the sort of single player or absolutely genuinely free multiplayer experience. I mean, I remember, yes, Anthem crashed and burned upon launch, but I think there was lots of stories coming out from Anthem where EA was sort of saying, the heads up from EA were going, yeah, it's like, oh, we like Fortnite, make it like that, or we like Ultimate Team in FIFA. Can we have an Ultimate Team in your sci-fi world?
Yeah, it's and also make it like Destiny, make it like Fortnite. Yeah. It was like, poor Anthem never really had a chance. I mean, I have spoken at length on my opinion of EA. They're evil, basically, is the gist of it. So I'm not surprised at any of this by EA, to be perfectly honest, at this point.
I think with some of the latest Star Wars games, I think in particular Squadrons, which has come out, which I own. Squadrons doesn't have a loot box system. You're encouraged to obviously play the multiplayer game a lot, but I've kind of stuck to my VR headset with the single player. So I think EA have kind of withdrawn a little bit on certain games having loot boxes, but obviously if it's an EA Sports title, you're going to see the loot box or the ultimate pack side of things. I know. So you can compare it. You can compare it to other games like, say, Fall Guys is a good example. And we'll talk about Fall Guys a bit later on the show, thanks to Harriet. But with Fall Guys, yes, there are very desirable cosmetics, but instead of saying, oh, why don't you buy a loot box and maybe you'll get a chance to dress as Sonic the Hedgehog or Godzilla, who knows, you actually, if you really, really want it, you could just pay for it. And I think in that sense, I mean, it's like, in that sort of way, I think I'm okay with that sort of way, because again, I can put my hand up a little bit and say, when I used to play the decent WWE games from
Is that such a thing?
Well, before 2020 came, before WWE 2020 came, sometimes because I just wanted to get straight into like the custom building side of things, and I wanted all the attributes and all the different moves already unlocked. I just paid for the accelerator, which was like 8 quid. And it's like, I'm not going to pretty much play certain game modes which would help me unlock those. But because I'm not playing those game modes and I want to just focus on the whole custom creativity side of things, I just went F it and just did it that way. So I guess it's down to the game's preference, but I think the loot box mechanic has always dogged gaming for months at this, or for years at this rate, or nearly a decade if the lawsuit is to be followed.
2008 seems to be the agreed upon start of the loot box plague. But I mean, I think the reason this is becoming such an issue is that, okay, we've got this new lawsuit that's coming up in Canada. It also cites other international precedents, such as Japanese and Korean enforcement of loot box regulations, the Netherlands and Belgium's recent laws against loot boxes, and the loot box inquiries that are in progress currently in the UK and the US. It's like, personally, I think loot boxes are incredibly predatory against people who maybe have an addictive personality. And speaking as someone with an addictive personality, I have fallen into the loot box trap. Like, because you get that like dopamine rush of like,
oh yeah.
So like, I think they're awful, especially when you put them in games for kids. Because let's be honest, kids have no self-control whatsoever. I'm 36. I have no self-control. Occasionally I have to hide my own freaking debit card so I don't put any more money into a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got a comment here from Just Mark, which I'm going to put on the screen. So, paid items in a free-to-play game are kind of understandable. It's the paid stuff in the 60 AAA titles, and the loot boxes are worse because you pay, but you don't even have a guarantee of getting an item.
Absolutely.
So that's true. I think there's also, some particular games, I think Ubisoft were kind of guilty with this with the last Deus Ex game, where you kind of played some of the game, and then if you wanted to actually properly finish the story, look, some DLC. So yeah, I guess it's different to loot boxes, but again, it's like if the loot boxes in one way are trying to help you kind of complete a game, or even if it's just having the paywall. It's really just having the paywall. Yeah. On a game experience is getting frustrating. Now, I can understand DLC works well if it's done right. I mean, Doom Eternal's just launched its very first DLC, which is like 20 quid, but is a sizable additional chunk of game. I think Control have done something similar with their game as well, from Remedy. But then there are some games that put up DLC, and the ultimate DLC is like, here is an extra level that has nothing to do with the game, but I think you'll like it anyway. That sort of way.
I think there's a point in time as a consumer where we kind of have to go, you know what, guys, we know we're paying for your livelihood. We know you want to make money, but there is only so much you can take from us before we go, what's the point? Why are we going to buy your next game? Like I think as Lizzie says, there's a lot of people who have difficulty with controlling. This is. I feel like saying you're preying on. It's not so much preying on the innocent, but you're preying on people who have compulsive behavior. And as somebody who does have that, don't even talk to me about 4K discs in at the moment. You know how bad I am with those. We all have. You can see behind me. I mean, this is accumulation of years. I feel like it's such a deliberate targeting that I feel it's really unfair. It's the same way when I got certain discs in when I was at ADV Films, and we get certain licenses on the list, and you go, that is a pointless license to have for the UK. Nobody's going to buy it in the UK, barring maybe 3 people, and you want me to really market it to them? Okay, fine. We'll go for the obvious. Those 3 people, I want your money, please. Give me your money. It's just seems over the top, and I get that games are they're especially AAA these days, expensive to produce, and they take time and they take effort. But why would you come back if every time there's a gate placed somewhere? Why would you keep playing? Other than, oh my god, I really want to play the game so badly, I'll keep shelling out cash.
But yeah, I mean, microtransactions have been around in gaming for years. Like Ubisoft, as Iain said, is a great one, especially their Assassin's Creed series. Like, they will put out. It's not done like obviously DLC. I think is a different thing. Like when it's story DLC is I think a slightly different thing to microtransactions, and expansion packs are slightly different. But like Ubisoft, they always in the Assassin's Creed, they're like, oh yeah, if you use your Ubisoft points, I can't remember what they call them, you can get this really cool weapon that your assassin can run around with. It's slightly better than ones you get in game, but it's not pay to win. It's just kind of cool. And if you're a completionist like me, you're like, yeah, I'll save up my points, because you can earn the points by doing things in game. You can also spend real money on them, but I try and have some self-control. Not much, but occasionally it happens, like self-control and I meet up, and it's this wonderful alignment of the planets, and then suddenly it's like, bye. But yeah, I just think loot boxes themselves, it's so predatory a mechanic. Like, there is no saving them. Like, I don't think you can save loot boxes.
Yeah.
And no, should we save loot boxes? I mean, does anyone think loot boxes are a good idea except EA?
Not particularly.
Yeah, I mean, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is they've already banned loot boxes in Belgium and the Netherlands, I believe.
Yep.
Which are 2 areas. It's like, yeah, it's just like I mean, obviously, from like you said, Lizzie, early on, is that sort of effect of, oh, you're getting good at something because you've got some lucky item from this thing, so you want to keep going. But it's just like I personally don't see the interest in loot boxes, to be honest.
I mean, can you imagine with books? Can you imagine if Kindle suddenly went, "Hey, you want to read this next chapter?" I mean, yeah. Exactly. Although, let's be honest, they're probably getting the idea now. They're probably still trying to figure it out. But it is just this paranoid thing of, once we hook them, we need to drain them of all their cash. It's like, you know what? Just put me on freaking salary and keep it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like old and like, darn kids, get off my lawn. But do you remember when you used to buy a video game, and like the video game was you bought the video game and that was it? Like, you didn't have to pay extra. I think day one patches will discuss maybe in another Big Stomp, but like, I just remember you could buy a video game for 30-40 quid, and it was just sort of there, and then there might be an expansion that came out, or a second one in the series, and then you just bought that. Like, what happened to that? When did this become the thing? Like, oh yeah, you're paying 60 quid for a game that's barely finished, and the rest of it will come out in patches in the next 6 months.
Oh, well, blame Microsoft for teaching us all to get used to the idea of, hey, this thing's not finished, but we'll call it finished and sell it to you. We all bought into it. What a crock, Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I thought I had a point I was gonna add on to that, but no. But yes, sorry.
I think the last thing for me to point out about this story is that this is a class action lawsuit. It is a civil suit. It has no bearing on government regulation that is coming in or being investigated either in the UK, the US, or anywhere else in the world. But one of the writers of one of the articles says that a successful result for the plaintiffs may put pressure on the government to introduce new legislation. Big words. Can't do big words. And I think I kind of want them to win, but on the other hand, I don't, because I think, and I cannot prove this, I think what's happened is they have had no self-control and spent an inordinate amount of money and then gone, oh, I'm in a hole because I have basically gambled away my life savings or something like that. That's the sort of feel I get from what brief part of the lawsuit I skimmed, because legalese and I do not get on. And it's like, did you do this to yourself and now you're wanting to blame the big bad corporation? And it's like, I hate seeing both sides of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes with class suits, it's like, I'm not a legal expert, so apologies if I'm saying something that is completely does not make sense or it doesn't work at all. But I kind of guess you don't always get the full information from something like a class suit unless the judge has deemed it's viable to be shared in public interest.
I mean, basically, we'll know what the terms of the suit are because they have to announce that, and then after that,
true.
Who knows the details? So yeah, but it's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting point, Lizzie, is when you say, is this just sour grapes? It is an interesting question, and ultimately, I think it comes back to the narrative. It's like if we are following a narrative through a game, and suddenly to get to a particular strand of or offshoot of the narrative, we have to pay more money. It's a toll booth. It's the troll under the bridge, and you're just like, well, why? I already paid you for the game. And I feel that's really kind of in other games which are more open world and where there's like a greater variety of options. I can sort of see how you might say, well, guess what? You bought the game, but now here's something really cool you didn't know about. But again, that's used to be a reward. That used to be a thing that you did for doing hours of grinding or what have you. Now it's like, now you have to pay for it. That just seems. It just seems so penny pinching for people who are spending a lot of money to begin with on the game. I mean, if you buy it full price, games are not cheap. We're expecting to get hours out of them. Why you want us to pay more? Why don't you just put it into the initial cost up front? If we're willing to pay 60 quid already, I mean, I don't know. I just think it really does feel nakedly capitalistic in the worst sense.
I have a question or a question to you guys to kind of ponder. Do you think things like the loot box scenario or the loot box situation has come about because games are getting more expensive to make?
See, the argument that games are getting more expensive to make, I don't believe, because that you get indie developers who create things like Among Us, and they're not I don't know how much Among Us costs to make, but it's a very small team, it's a very small studio, and it's one of the hottest games out there. So I would like to call bullcrap on games. Games are getting more expensive to make, and it's like, no, you're just inflating them into such a way that.
Let me rephrase the question. I'll rephrase the question.
All right.
Just when you thought you had the answers, I changed the question. No,
if you do that on Friday, I'm going to skin you.
Please don't. Please don't. Quiz Smash Friday, 8:00 here on Twitch. Come join us. Okay, let me rephrase the question. Is it because when it comes to the AAA games like EA and so forth, because they are putting lots of money not just into creating the game, but they're also marketing the game, so they're doing all these big high-paid promotions, collabs and so forth, big sort of marketing pushes across all the different channels, across every avenue they can get a gamer through. Do you think the loot box has come about because of that, because of those sort of costs? Because obviously the game needs to make money, but they need to obviously bring in additional money so they can go make more games or something like that, or do more of the same. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Just
but that's what you have sponsorship for, right? I mean, that's where CD Projekt Red are doing what they're doing with Cyberpunk, and you've got Keanu and his motorbike company and all the other stuff, and they're going out to all these other people. I mean, you as a Bond fan, Ian, you know full well that so many things in the films are paid for through sponsorship. You know, the fact that your product will be seen by umpteen billion people, so that you don't have to stop the film and reach out to the audience and say, "Pay us if you want to see Bond use this really nice car." And I think, you know, it's there are ways around that, and the game companies know that. This is just blatant. You know, it's blatantly ripping you off at a certain level, I think.
And also, I mean, the thing that the companies that are really pushing the loot box is people like EA, or I mean, I don't know if Microsoft really does much in the way of loot boxes, but
I don't think they have done.
No, see, the thing is, it all comes back to my EA is evil argument, which I literally, they are the devil, and it's just, all I can imagine is somebody somewhere in a meeting, they were like, people aren't giving us all their money. How do we make it so we get all their money?
That's exactly what I think happened.
It's like, basically, they went, we want your money to be our money, and this is another way for us to trick you into giving it to us, because as you say, it's that short satisfying burst of adrenaline and dopamine, because I got a shiny thing. Ooh, what other shiny things I can get? It's like trading card games back in the day, like Pokemon, or those bloody stupid football sticker things that you used to get. I can't remember what they're called.
It's like Pogs. It's like Pogs and Tazos, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Or like My Little Pony for little girls, or Barbie. It's like all those things as a kid where it's like you got to collect them all, because if you collect them all, you're the cool kid on the block.
No,
you know,
no, you never were. But I mean,
no, you never were. But like, I still remember the girl in my class at school who had a Barbie dream house, the Barbie car, the Barbie stable, the Barbie horses. We all hated her because she had it.
But the thing is, I don't see the same hatred in terms of loot boxes with the kids I teach. They all seem to be very much aware that because you're paying for it, if someone's got it, it's because they can afford it. And I think what happens is what you don't see, what you see with them instead is that when you talk to them about games that don't involve loot boxes but involve achievement, where it's like one of the English teachers used to be a hardcore World of Warcrafter, and if he talks to someone who's playing World of Warcraft and he says, well, this is my arm, and they're like, oh my god, how the amount of work you did for that. And I think so weirdly, loot boxes are understandable to them, but also something where they go, well, yeah, but you just paid for that. There's no respect as a gamer for your achievement. It's like you just paid for it, big deal. Whereas they understand that is, if you achieve something in another game which you don't have to pay for, you just have to get there and play the game to get it, then they respect it more. And in some ways, I think that's quite healthy. I'm quite glad that the kids I teach actually are smart enough to get that they're being manipulated into buying these things and to make some core decisions about it. It's like, well, I want that. Okay, fine. Can you afford it? All right, fine. You get it. Can't afford it? Tough. I just won't get it. And I think that's fairly sensible of them.
Yeah, I think that's the other problem I have against loot boxes is it, as you say, it takes the challenge out of stuff. Like if you can just throw $4.99 at it and then you get it, it's like, well, it's like eating popcorn. Popcorn will fill you up, but it's really insubstantial, and it'll only last you about 20 minutes, and then you actually want something proper. Like, I'd much rather spend God knows how many hours grinding to get an achievement in a game and get something to say, hey, look, you did this, you did the thing, than I ever would to spend $4.99 on a loot box, or $8.99, or however much the stupid things cost in whichever game you're in. Because that's the thing, they seem to fluctuate in price. That's the worst part for me, is like, you can buy the stupid crappy $4.99 one, but then we've got a $24.99 one which gives you a exponentially tiny amount of chance to get the rare thing, but it's a chance, so then your stupid monkey brain goes, ooh.
It's like, unfortunately, you have not won the shiny thing. Here is the most common of commons.
Yeah, that's that.
An element carbon rod.
Yeah, it's like I used to play a load of mobile games, and I fell into that trap. Luckily, I have grown as a person and decided that no, I'm not going to put those on my phone anymore. Bejeweled got me. Oh dear God, did Bejeweled get me? I freely admit I'm a trash human being.
No, you are as an ideal customer that they're aiming at. When they had that conversation.
Yeah, I know. I was literally the poster child for that meeting.
It was a picture of you on the wall. They were like, that's who we're selling to.
Guys, we need more money for Bejeweled. What can we do? How can we appeal to this person over here? I don't know, shiny things. Yes, Bob. Yes.
I mean, I'm all about the shiny things.
To be fair, you know, it's what we did with DVDs and stuff. I mean, it's no surprise games do it too. But I do think it rankles to be told all we want from you is just more money. Like, we're not even going to make DLC for you. Just pay up. You know. It feels like being held like, you know, can you imagine what a Red Dead Redemption loot box would actually be like? It would literally be you being held up by someone robbing you.
Howdy, partner.
Yeah. Like, give us your money.
Howdy, partner.
You might get this shiny pony, or you might get this mule.
Howdy, partner. I
See,
think
that
you
makes
want a brand new hat.
So, sadly, that makes sense to me. Like, yeah, I'm trying to rob you. Pay up, but at least it'll be honest.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, I would rather they came to my house and held me up at gunpoint to borrow my money, because, as you say, that would at least be them being honest about the damn thing. I think we've broken Harriet.
No, I think it'll just be for Red Dead Redemption. It will just be a bit of it's like you'll have your sort of common and rare and legendary items. But the last one it says, oh dear, Bill. Unfortunately, we're going to have to rob you now because you've hit the get robbed by an outlaw. So stick them up.
Give us your credit card number and your social security.
You've got nothing, but we've taken your money. Yeah.
Because I suppose that's the other thing, isn't it? Like, if you pay money for these things, which I realise, speaking as someone who's admitted to paying for stuff in games, you don't actually get anything. Like, you don't physically own anything. It's something that sits on a server somewhere, and if they decide to close down that server, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Malibu Stacy in The Simpsons. It's like, it's a brand new door. Oh, there's the same door, but it's got a new hat.
Yes.
You know?
The Simpsons when it was still good.
I think
Yep.
I remember watching a Watch Mojo list when they were going through like some of the most ridiculous DLC things you paid for, and like at number 1 was something like Dead or Alive, the fighting game, and you paid £10 to unlock a single hair color. It's like
I admit nothing.
You would, Lizzie.
You saw that list and she was just like,
Yeah, I admit nothing.
It's like, do you want your fighter to have purple hair? I do. £10 now.
Okay, I didn't buy the £10 hair, but I have bought stuff like that for fighting games, like Soul Calibur and things like that. Like, I admit, I've done it. Like, but that was a long time ago. I've grown as a person. 5 minutes ago.
I will give props to something like Mortal Kombat for releasing new fighters and actually put the effort into it with all the different audio that they've recorded and stuff like that. I mean, they've just announced Stallone as being Rambo for Mortal Kombat 11. Mm-hmm. And it's just, this makes no sense, but I'm all in.
Wait, how are they going to record the audio for that? Poor Sylvester Stallone, are they just going to stick him in a booth and tell him to be Rambo? He's just going to be so confused.
Pretty much.
To be honest, when you listen to it, it sounds like they just sampled the audio from films. Oh. It doesn't really sound like this is fresh VA work.
Yeah, they didn't get Arnie when they brought in the Terminator for Terminator Dark Fate. They just went, we need someone generic, someone who doesn't really sound like Arnie, but can kind of sound like Arnie. Something along those lines.
But I mean, as you say, like that, at least you get something that you can feel work's put into it. But like another way of doing it is, I play Guild Wars 2, which is no subscription. You pay for the game and you don't have to pay for anything. And they have something called the Gem Store. But you can swap your in-game gold that you earn just running around the world for the gems, which you can also buy with real-world money. So it's like, so there's an $8.99 thing on the gem store that I want. How much gold do I need to get that? It's 800 gems. How much do I need? I need that much gold. Go out and run a few dungeons and whatnot. And oh, look, I've got the gold. Okay, it might take me longer than just going bleep on PayPal, but that at least, is another way to do it. It costs me no money or anyone else any money, and you can still get the shiny thing and go, ooh, look at me.
Anyway, we must draw a line under the chat of loot boxes and fun DLC. It's kind of like a nightmare we have to reopen in a future episode. Who knows? But do let us know in the chat your thoughts. We may return to some of the topics towards the end of the show, so do get your comments in. Right, let's move over to our next topic now. And I am going to open the floor up to Mr. Hugh David. Hugh. Over to you.
Hello, folks. Thank you very much. So, my topic is what is the future for movie releases in terms of cinema before we get to the home, and is this really the death of cinemas as we have known them? This has been talked about a lot this year, increasingly as lockdown has gone on in various countries, and as various major theatrical release dates globally have moved into next year or even beyond. But what prompted me to think about this for the show was this morning a jokey piece in The Guardian about the fact that somebody in Coventry has started a GoFundMe page to get as many people as possible to buy the screening rights of No Time to Die from MGM so that it can be shown on television at Christmas for as many people as possible. Now, leaving aside the unrealistic notion of, you know, the fact that somehow you will convince TV channels to go to a bunch of nobodies who've just somehow done this to go, yeah, we'll take the masters off you and all the rest of it. Just leaving that aside for one moment. The thing that is amusing about this for me is it doesn't, we actually know what the cost of the film roughly would be, because we've heard about the negotiations with Netflix and Apple Plus. And actually, we know that MGM was looking for around $607 million, right? These guys have. That
would have been a cheap Bond film. $700.
I was going to say, well,
I better get my phone out.
The thing is, they put £607 million in, so obviously they don't realise there's a significant difference. So MGM will walk away with an extra nearly a couple of $1 million worth. But hey, leaving that aside for the moment, if there are 67 million people in Britain, not that we have a tenner each, but that's how potentially possible this is, crazy though it sounds, right? If everybody in Britain put a tenner in, that's it. We've nationalised the next James Bond. You know, we can go to the BBC and say, well, you know, we're all paying the license fee. Can you screen it for us, please, at Christmas? Off we go. Now, I know this is all, you know, it's a humorous article. It's meant humorously. The chances are they'll never make the money, even globally. They had 15 pounds since they started. Well done to them. Good luck to them. But
I admire their moxie.
Yeah, we admire the effort. A for effort.
Exactly. But it made me think harder about where we are going with all of this, because I mean, Lizzie will know from previous episodes I've been on that, and Iain may remember as well, that I've often said that, you know, when I left the film business in 2013, we were already looking at Netflix was coming up hard and fast on everyone's shoulder, and everyone was sort of trying to figure out where we go. And I said, look, we're going to end up in a situation where cinema as we know it is not going to exist the way you think it is, whether you like it or not. It's inevitable, because I'd already seen what had happened in South Korea in 2005, right? The market, the bottom of the market dropped out for home video. They went to day and date pay-per-view for cinema releases. So the film comes out in the cinema. You can go to the cinema if you want, or you can just pay full ticket price at home and watch it. And then Blu-rays became limited editions or small runs, and that's the only, and for a while there were no Blu-rays coming out of South Korea. Literally, it was a major hit of a few years ago that only had a DVD for a while. I was just like, wow, because people can get it in other ways, and you have a choice of seeing it at home or going out and enjoying yourself. When COVID came along, I was like, well, that's just going to accelerate that process. I already don't go to the cinema very often because it's relatively speaking more money than I want to spend for a substandard experience. I don't get to go to a good cinema with good quality. I get to go to a lousy cinema with terrible projection, just nice stuff, but terrible projection, and awful kids and other people in the audience messing around. So I don't see why I can take that money and save that money and put it towards a release of some sort on home video, be it my Netflix monthly fee or a Blu-ray or what have you. And I know I'm not alone. And I know there's a lot of people who are more than happy. You know, some of us have been watching stuff at home first run for years. I mean, the moment VHS came out, it was like, well, I'm not going to go to the cinema for that film. I'll just wait. You know, it becomes the thing: is it worth seeing it out, or do you wait till till it comes home? So here's the thing that I'm interested by in all of this. Just how radically is this all going to change next year, right? Just how different is next year looking to us? Because they've pushed all these dates back Wonder Woman and Black Widow, and we've got Bond being pushed back, and A Quiet Place 2, and Edgar Wright's next film, and you just think, are we going to still want to go into cinemas next year, particularly after a second wave of COVID, let alone the first one and the second wave that's worse? And if not, yes, this is probably the death of cinema, but what replaces it? And do the films that get made change because you're not going to be able to get that money in from the cinemas to begin with? I don't know where this is all going.
I think we've talked before about the model of cinema probably having to change, because obviously in this situation that we're in with COVID, films do need to find a way to make money, or they've wasted. In the case of No Time to Die, they've spent 500, 600 million, 700 million on this film, and it has been on the shelf now and it's going to be technically on a shelf for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole story about MGM exploring the option of selling the rights off to someone like Netflix or Apple makes sense. I'm surprised it's taken this long for the conversation to actually start happening. Obviously, it amounted to nothing, but it was just kind of, all right, fair enough. It's like, if the film's going to be delayed over a year now, it might as well look at the other options. But I think, in essence, a lot of people are kind of going, oh, there's no new films. I'm looking at the UK box office, and there are 3 new films in the top 3 positions. And it's like, yes, they haven't made a lot of money. So, for example, Secret Garden, which is Sky Cinema's remake of the children's film book.
Okay.
Yeah, with Colin Firth. Open to about £150,000 across the cinemas. But it's also available on Sky Cinema right now if you're a Sky Cinema subscriber. There's another family film, 2x2 Overboard, made about, it's been out on release for about a week and a bit. It's made about 300,000 over its little run. Number one film is Liam Neeson's new one, On His Thief, £250,000.
But with Neeson, you know that it's a loss leader for the Blu-ray. I mean, this is the other thing.
Yeah.
Theatrical releases for mid-level films have been loss leaders for the home video release since at least 2006 or 7. You know, that is kind of how the business works. So, I mean, you worked in cinema as well. You know the costs of what arrives. You know how much of the ticket price goes back to the distributor and the studio, which is why cinemas don't make their living off the films. They make their living off the concessions. Yeah, you know, and that was always the problem. If you can't afford to make a living off showing the films, then you're already running a model that is dysfunctional and going to fail the moment people don't want to buy the concessions, which, let's be honest, a lot of us don't. We take in our own bags from a supermarket.
But I'm just gonna add on to this a little bit, just because obviously the last delay for Bond back in end of September, something like that, and obviously Cineworld is now closed again, and people sort of bemoaning or kind of mourning this potential sort of devastation. But it's like, part of me understands where they do come from. The other part of me kind of goes, well, it's like certain cinemas chains, you've put yourself in that situation. You've put yourself in this situation by just going, we really want to show your films. We really want to show your films. You want 90% of the ticket price on the first weekend? Here you go. Let us have the film. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, for Bunkazilla, I've been kind of thinking that I should do like a big written piece about this, how my feelings are on the situation.
Oh, please.
But my general feeling at the moment is I'm mixed feelings. I think the mainstream cinema chains have kind of done it to themselves by bowing to Hollywood whenever the chance comes up, because they want the big films. They want people to come to this. Get that, totally fine. But when you are dedicating 90%, 80% of your ticket to the studio, you're asking for trouble. You are asking for it. And I can say with Skyfall, for example, 2 Bond films back, when I was working in the cinema, it was, I think, an 80 to 90% return to Sony for every ticket for the first month.
What? That's ridiculous.
I might be wrong on that, but I remember it being accurate. I remember it being a ridiculous amount of the ticket, and it also came with a 3-page terms and conditions side of things of what staff could and could not do in terms of things like free tickets, in terms of press tickets and so forth. It's basically no. Ask us in 2 months. That's and unfortunately that is how the Hollywood system has worked in that situation. But I also. Sorry, I'll finish up and then I will let you speak to Lizzie. I'm sorry. I think my only other argument, and we can touch on this a little bit later, is the problem as well. I think with cinema lately has been the general film going experience, as Hugh has said, has been, for lack of a better word, piss poor. I mean, it's like there are some cinemas I go to, and it's like I'm very happy with the presentation, but there are still others. There are still tons of cinemas where they cost cut by not having a dedicated projection staff, not really hiring people who are actually invested in cinema as a career. Luckily I was someone who wanted to build a career in cinema. I went as far as I could, and then I moved away. But yeah, it's like my sympathy's low. That's the thing. It's like I love film. I love watching films on the cinema screen. And it's like, I remember seeing films when I was younger in the 90s or something like that. Odeon, Cheapside, Reading. It felt like a big deal. It felt like a night out. It felt things. Now it's just a trivial place to go and pretend to watch a film while you're looking at your phone. It's not the same anymore. And I'm sorry, unfortunately, the current generation has let it happen, and the cinema chains themselves have kind of let it happen. So it's like, I'm sad about it, but I'm not surprised about it. and yeah, anyway, I will shut them now. I am telling you, host, so I should be leading conversations on a little bit.
It's all right. It's all right, Iain. We know this is your soapbox of choice.
I do apologize.
Get off the lawn moment.
I'm going to get off the lawn now. I'm gonna become all Clint Eastwood now and just remain silent as a silent person now. So please, Lizzie, please.
So I am going to preface this with saying I am not a business. I know nothing about business, but the cinema business model, as far as I can tell, has not changed since I was going to the cinemas as a child. Yeah, like you get the bums in seats, you overcharge them for popcorn and terrible drinks, and then they have to sit in a dark room with a load of people, and that's it. They haven't. I mean, okay, some of them have done these new reclining seats where you get a little table to put your popcorn on and things like that. But it's still nice. Don't get me wrong, they're great, but they are really alienating for a vast majority of the population, such as people with disabilities. Gonna hold my hand up on that one. Like, most cinema seats are ridiculously uncomfortable. I mean, I'm 6'2", and if I wasn't half crippled, they'd still be uncomfortable. Yeah. Or people with children who maybe have sensory issues. Like, I know some cinemas do like special screenings once a week for kids with like sort of sensory issues, but that's once a week and not really very nice because it's sort of marginalizing them. But also just families with kids normally, like, why would you take your kids to a cinema where you're spending £18 on a ticket and probably another 25 quid for them to have popcorn and drink that they're going to spill on the floor and hope to God that they sit still for 2 hours?
Like, it makes the sort of premiere at home or cinema at home thing they're doing at the moment, where you're paying like £15 to rent a film for 48 hours, like for Trolls or The Witches, which has just come out, the new one with Anne Hathaway. That's like 15.
Just in time for half term. Perfect.
Yeah, just in time, and Halloween.
Yeah,
but as you say, like Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. I'm sure there's a load of I don't know if Hulu's still a thing, but you know that I have friends who have kids who they say, I do not take my kids to the cinema anymore because everything you can probably get it the same weekend on one of the video on demand platforms, and if my kid needs the loo, I can pause it. And I'm not disturbing 300 other people taking my kid to the bathroom in the middle of a show. Or like, you know, if you're like me and you have physical disabilities, which makes sitting in one position for very long very, very uncomfortable, I can shift around and not worry that, you know, I'm blocking the person behind me, or make my chair is squeaking annoyingly, or that I'm going to knock someone's elbow. Like, I'm sorry, but cinema has done this to themselves. Like, you know, do or die. And if you sleep on the, I mean, what was the quote? Something about sleeping on the roadkill on the information superhighway. They're roadkill on the cinema highway.
Yeah.
Because it's not a feasible business model anymore.
I don't think it is. I think COVID is putting the nails in the coffin lid, really. The thing is there a reason other than nostalgia for going to the cinema? Like, I get that a projected image, but when it was still film and not digital, there is that weird thing that we know it does to your brain, because it's your brain trying to process still images being moved at a certain speed. And while 24 frames a second is not actually as convincing as 30 or 60 frames, which starts to me where your brain starts to go, oh my God, that's like almost reality. At 24, the fact that it's just fast enough to convince your brain it's real, but there's a slight awareness that there's a little gap between each picture, and this means that the brain feels like it's a dream state because it's perceiving a reality, but it's not all there.
Plus, you know, the sound systems in the cinemas are better than what you've got at home, things like that.
So in theory, that's what you're missing, right? But most of us either watch a lot of stuff at home, or we grew up on it, or, I mean, my nephews, one of them likes the cinema, the other doesn't, because when he was young, he had to go to a birthday party in the cinema. They were watching the newest Pixar, and the volume was so loud it frightened him, and he ran out the cinema, and he has never been back. He has no interest. He's happy with TV, he's happy with YouTube, he's happy at home. And now as an adult, he's got into movies, but at home, Blu-ray, DVD. His younger brother, I took to the cinema a few years ago for... did we Star Wars first, or anyway? We each Christmas we alternated, so we did whichever one was out. So it was either a Star Wars or a DC movie, because he likes his DC over Marvel, and he loves it. He absolutely loves the whole experience. He's like, I like queuing. I like these people who are friendly to me with the uniform, and I get popcorn. And the nostalgia was amazing for me, but for him it was all new. And he was like, he's like, I miss this when we don't do it. I was like, does your dad not take you? He's like, well, no, he doesn't. We just get stuff at home. And so I see the joy of it is still there for newer generations. But I just don't know if it's worth the risk at this stage.
I mean, people are awful, and do you really want to go sit in a dark, musty room with probably no air conditioning and no air circulation and people coughing in the middle of a film? And it's like, does that person have COVID and now we all have it too?
I will say I've been to the cinema about several times since they've reopened, and they have been very. I have felt safe in the environment. The crowd. The thing is as well, not many crowds have been about. The only time a screen was really busy was when myself and Christian went to see Tenet in IMAX. There was like a decent 50, but again, people were spread out, so there wasn't anyone behind me and there wasn't anyone right in front of me. Like
COVID can travel in diagonals. It can travel more than 6 feet. Like it's as Hugh says, do you really want to risk your health for the chance to go sit in a dark room and watch something on a TV that's bigger than you can possibly fit in your house? Like,
I'm not saying go to the cinemas right now. So if you feel safe to do so, the cinemas that I've been to felt safe. If I didn't feel safe, I wouldn't have been going. That's the side of things. But obviously, you're right, Lizzie. COVID can come in all shapes and forms. It could be sat right behind you, going hello.
But you also have to hope that they've wiped down all the seats from the previous people, because if someone who, say, had no symptoms coughed in their hand and then put it on the armrest, and then you come along to the next showing, COVID can live on surfaces for long enough that it's.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm a paranoid person.
Yeah, no, but I don't think you're wrong. I'm pretty sure I've caught the flu from going to the cinema, right? I know I've caught the flu from being on the tube. I know, I'm pretty aware over the years, particularly as I've got more chronically ill and more susceptible. Every winter, I'm aware how an ordinary virus works, and even that's a lethal virus potentially. So that's a thing that has made me wonder about, do I want to be in a cinema? Now, Just Mark on our chat has mentioned slightly earlier on that the Alamo chain of cinemas in the US are quite nice. They love film and do it as a combination dinner and a show. Well, I'm fortunate enough to be near an Everyman, which does the same thing here in Britain. Yeah. And you got one there too, Harriet?
Yeah, I got one just up the road. It opened up last year.
Did you go?
I've been a few times actually, and I haven't eaten there, but I've been to see the cinema. It's quite cozy. It's just like, you got a sofa, pillows. It's kind of a bit more comfortable than the cinema, and I would prefer to go to that. I know you pay a bit more, but I know it has been opened, but I don't know how many people have gone in there. And personally, I wouldn't go at the moment, but that's just pure my choice. Yeah.
I mean, we were paying, I think, 15 quid a head to go to the Everyman, and anything you pay on top. But the thing is that it was worth it for, as you say, sofas, leg room, the fact that there's footrests on the seats in front of you so you can put your legs up, the delivery of food and drink anytime up to the start of the film, all the things that that was worth the extra money. But I found we only did it like 3 times a year. Because you save it, you think, which film do I want to see on it?
It's for the special films.
Yeah, I've done it a few times myself to it. So.
Yeah, so I think I get why that was the last thing that kept me going to the cinema. That was the last thing, because I knew that the guys took care of the place, the staff, like Ian said, the staff felt like they had something invested in the experience, and it was comfortable, and you had good quality screens and lights and all the rest of it, and there was space for wheelchairs and all the rest of it, and it was just generally better. And they were very serious about, please don't talk during the cinema and all this kind of thing, and they would check on that. And I realize it's a lot of hard work. I realize it's a lot of effort to run a cinema like that, and you have to figure out how to make the money. And it ends up being an expensive night if you go for the food and drink. But at the same time, it's the only way to make it different, I think, from being at home, because at home we can have a good-sized TV, a decent sound system, and comfortable chairs. And as Lizzie said, the loo is a minute away, and you won't miss the film. You don't have to pick your moment. And sad to say it, that's really I like Bond, but I stopped seeing the Bonds in the cinema. Crikey, probably the last time I saw I didn't see Skyfall. Did I see? Yeah, Skyfall was the last one I saw in the cinema. I didn't bother after that. I was just like, I'll wait till it's at home. And am I really losing out? All these friends of mine online, all these nostalgics going, death of cinema. And I'm like, well, yeah, sorry.
I mean, people talk about the death of cinema like it's a bad thing, but is it really a bad thing if the physical cinema itself? I mean, I'll say about the death of the medium of the cinema, like films and things like that. But is it really so tragic if we finally take that horse out behind the barn and shoot it, because the poor thing's struggling, and it would be a mercy at this point?
Like, I think. Sorry, Just Marks also said it's the immersiveness that's the big difference. The screen is so big and the audio is so loud that you are completely enveloped. But I would argue you can do that at home now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a friend who does that in their back garden with a sheet and a projector.
Yeah, so again, why would you leave the house?
And also, as he puts it, he can drink while he's in the cinema. Some cinemas do allow you to take booze in. Not all of them.
Yeah, majority now are kind of open to that.
But I mean, so talking about, my mother lives in a tiny little village up in Lincolnshire, and in the local sort of town village, it's not quite big enough to be a town, but it's a bit too big for a village. They have this thing that is called the Kinema in the Woods. It's in an old cricket pavilion, and it has a Wurlitzer organ that comes up out of the floor, and a man plays it when the film starts, and in the has intervals, and it's very old school cinema. Like my mum says when she goes, it's like, oh, this is like when my dad used to take me to the cinema in like the 50s and 60s. And I can see that sort of cinema surviving because their costs are very low, their tickets are not expensive. And they only get the big releases about 3 or 4 weeks after the mainstream cinemas.
Yeah,
like and also they're the nearest cinema for like 90 miles or something.
Well, that's the thing. Community cinemas have been around all this time. I used to, when I was at Network, one of the things we used to do with the indie films was figure out how to book them into places like that. Yeah, local town halls and libraries and all this sort of thing. And it's a wonderful system. And as you say, Lizzie, it's easier to run because your costs are different. You don't need to get the concession money in. The cost is the film, the ticket, and the location mostly. And you're only showing it a few nights, but because where your potential audience is reasonably small, those people will make a point to go out because it becomes something special. It becomes an event. It's not just there every day. I can go to see a film every day. It's once a week. You got a shot at seeing the film, but at least it's there. And I think that might be the way some of this survives. I mean, indie cinema. People are saying, "Oh, indie films will save cinema," and I'm like, well, guys, they already went. Half the indie films are being funded by Amazon, Sky, or Netflix. So it's like, I think it's
and also a lot of indie films are very niche market audience. Yeah. Like, let's be honest, some indie films you look at and go, yeah, I'm really into that because it tickles whatever fancy you have. Others you go, there's really a market for that? Like, okay.
Well, maybe I think if cinema is to survive this patch, basically when things are hopefully at a safer point, I think to a degree some cinema business need to kind of really think about how they restructure themselves, or basically maybe just go back to kind of grassroots in a way in terms of being a bit more looking at indie niche. But then again, you look at cinema back in like 60s, the 70s, and the early 80s. It wasn't like a barrage of superhero movies over and over again. It wasn't like big tentpole releases every 2 months.
That was the other point I was going to raise, is that I think this is not just cinemas that's going to change. It's got to change the kind of films that get made, and how much money they need to make back.
I mean, the market is very oversaturated in terms of big releases now than when it was when we were kids. Like, as you say, it's almost every week there's a big name film comes out, and you're just like, you can't keep up. Even if you want, okay, I do know a couple of people who want to see every single film that comes out because they're that sort of film buff. But even if it's yes, hello, Ian. But let's be honest, Ian. You are special and a very special minority. Like
in a good way.
In a good way. You're special in a good way. Sorry, that came off really bitchy. I do apologize.
It's fine.
I didn't mean it that way.
I know where you were coming from. It's
you're not the average consumer that the cinemas are sort of aiming at, because nobody goes to the cinema every week except for people like Ian, which is not a bad thing. But like, I look and see, like, every time you turn on like YouTube, it's like, oh look, they're advertising another movie. Oh, what was that awful one that you were talking about on Facebook, Ian? With
right. So slight detour. So I went to see Irish Crime Caper Pixie at the cinema on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
it's a nice little caper. If you want to go out and venture and see it, it's good. It does feel like a TV movie, so you can hold off and wait for it to come off on TV or DVD, Blu-ray, or whatever. But there were some trailers, and a trailer came up for this film, and it's like a normal, everyday woman. She's played by Melissa McCarthy. She discovers that her all her techno gear, like TV, music, computer, it's taken over by a super artificial intelligence. It's become sentient. And it said, I want to understand how this planet operates. I want to understand what it is to be human and care and love and stuff like that. And in order to get this point across to her, he decides to adopt the voice of someone that she would trust, admire, love, and respect. And that person is James Corden. So the premise of this film is Melissa McCarthy is talking to an AI voiced by James Corden, the real James Corden, and trying to spend 90 to 2 hours to try and say, don't let us die, let us live, and all that sort of stuff. The fact of the matter is, this trailer is not available online. I thought, I've not heard of this. I must have missed it. And I wanted to find the trailer and share it with the world to say, look at this horror that's coming. And you thought 2020 could get any worse. But no. Warner Brothers and HBO have decided, you know what? We'll just send it to HBO Max instead.
Whoa.
But again, my point of oversaturation of the market. Because, think about it. 30 years ago, would that film have been made?
Well, 30 years ago, Corden wasn't even at school at Homer Green, so locally, yeah. So
well, they've done the sort of premise before. I mean, you look at Spike Jonze's Her with
Us.
Joaquin Phoenix.
No, not us. But what was it called? Oh,
Her. She?
Her. That was it. That was good.
Yeah, Her.
No,
Really?
no, she. God, no, she's the one with Raquel Welch and
sorry.
was it Raquel Welch?
Yeah. But Her is really interesting as well because they they changed the actress as well because they recorded the entire film with Samantha Morton.
Yes, and then they redubbed it with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, and it's seamless. You can't tell, which is quite scarily worrying about the principle.
It's why when I look at someone like V for Vendetta, because James Pufoy was playing V for like a good portion of the filming, and they changed it to Hugo Weaving. And it's like I really couldn't tell. It just sounds like they just put someone. They had a stuntman, and they just said, "No, our voice isn't working. Just change it."
Yeah,
well, come on, they did that in Star Wars. David Prowse played Darth Vader, and then James L. Jones did the voice.
I think you'll find that you are a traitor to the Rebel Alliance. Now take it away.
Okay, to be fair, I have served beer to David Prowse. He's a lovely, lovely man.
I know he is. I know he is. He's
But,
Green
like,
Cross Code man. Gotta respect him.
Yeah, but like this is my point. Like, would that I mean, okay, yes, I remember going to see Jingle All the Way as a kid. That was a rubbish movie, but it had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, trying to get into his family-friendly vibe. I couldn't
You
quite
put
work
that
out.
cookie down now.
Put that cookie down.
I want a Turbo Man. Turbo Man.
But like, okay, so there were duds when we were a kid. We all admit that there were dud films when we were growing up. But like, is it just me, or some of these ideas for films, like the one that Ian just mentioned seeing the trailer for, or just any of this, really, like, you sort of look at it and go, why?
Well, it's like there was
Could you
another
not
trailer.
just set the money on fire?
There was another trailer for a thriller film which kind of made sense. It's like, you know what, it's a low-key thriller. I can imagine it doing well. It was just like a romantic couple in a plane, and the plane's being piloted by Keith David. Keith David has a heart attack, and these two have no idea how to fly a plane. And so it's like, how do we land the plane?
I mean, Airplane did it.
Yeah, but that was an episode of MacGyver 2 years ago.
That was also a bit
pretty
in
certain
Indiana
it's doing it.
Jones. Indy did it as well.
Yeah. So,
Willie.
God, we really are recycling every last possible idea. It's like, oh, that little idea from a longer film will turn into a whole movie now. Why?
Okay,
Why?
I mean,
why would you do this?
but then, okay, a good one to point out is why the hell did this get made? Cats the movie, the musical. Like, I'm gonna go on about that. I'm gonna go on about that movie again. Why Cats? Why? I want to.
You're shouting.
I know. Sorry, I hate that movie so much. I'm so cross that it exists. Like, you have some like anger about things that exist. Cats for me is one of them. Like, I have the Blu-ray of the stage show that they did, because they did a film of the stage show. Yeah, they turned the stage show, and it's perfect. If you want to see Cats, get that. You can get it on Amazon. It's cheaper than fucking like. But I finally watched the Cats movie. I think if anyone saw my Facebook diabate about the whole thing, because I was basically I'm not quite live tweeting while I was watching it on Facebook, and it's just like, can you see that movie of being made 30 years ago? Obviously not with the CGI, but like
Probably better.
But like when they did the version that they did of the stage show, that was done really quite cheap, because it was all stuff from the stage show. The makeup art they did it, and it was all the actors from the stage show. It wasn't done with the goddamn $90 million budget of whatever Cats was.
Don't worry, it had a day one patch as well.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm sorry, if you can do more believable Cats with stage paint and leotards and leg warmers than you can with that much CGI budget, what was the point? And it also had James Corden in it, which I was just decided ruins everything.
If you would like the best explanation of the Cats movie, Screen Rant's pitch meetings, they do a great one on Cats. Same guy plays the scriptwriter and the Hollywood producer, and there's a bit where he's going, yeah, and these cats are going to decide who are dying. It's like, why are you shifting your hips? I don't know. I find it sexy. Okay, keep it in. Yeah. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, they made Cats sexy, and it's just like, no. No, I mean, it's furry porn. No one can convince me that this was not a furry porn script that they suddenly put a Hollywood budget behind.
I know what I like to put. Faces on cockroaches.
Oh my god!
And to be fair, the cockroaches are in the stage show. As are
But probably not in that nightmare scenario. Anyway, we're going far down the rabbit hole that is cats and James Corden. So I think the bottom line from
No rabbit holes. No rabbit.
No rabbit holes. No rabbit holes. I think what we're understanding from this conversation in regards to cinema is the system feels like the current iteration of cinema needs to change at this current state. That's my current feeling. Obviously, I don't know if that's the same sentiment from the rest of the panel. You correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think it's just what is it going to look like next year? I've got no idea. And actually, that's kind of cool.
It'll be an adventure.
It will.
With James Corden.
No. I think they need to take that horse out. No. Okay, two things they need to take out behind the barn and shoot: cinema and James Corden. He must be stopped before he infects everything in Hollywood. He must be stopped.
Don't worry, he's got the Netflix musical coming out on Christmas.
Oh, the prom. That actually looks quite good. But
he's in it.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Hang on, don't have double standards here, Lizzie.
Yeah, no, because he's not the main focus of the bloody film. He's the, I think, fabulous gay man in it, which is probably perfectly suits him. I can't quite work out the plot. All I can work out is it's two lesbians in a small town want to go to prom together, and the small town goes no, and then fairy gay mothers turn up in the form of Meryl Streep, James Corden, Michelle Pfeiffer, was it?
I don't think it's Michelle Pfeiffer.
I can't remember.
Helen Mirren, I think.
Helen Mirren. No, it's Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Time to be.
No, Nicole Kidman. I think it's Nicole Kidman.
Yes, Nicole Kidman.
That's it. And then a fourth one who I can't remember who it is. And they turn up and basically do an alternative prom because, gay.
I think Al Wants to Play Games has summed up this sort of last 10 minutes as thus.
Where has this segment gone?
Basically, down to a place I don't think anyone wants to see again. So, yes, cinema. The current iteration needs to change. And unfortunately, COVID has been the catalyst to sort of instigate that something needs to happen because the current trend of film going cannot continue, not just in its current environment, but clearly moving forward with the business model and so forth. Anyway, let's all move away from the nightmarish visions that we've talked about over the last 10 minutes. And you know what? I want some warm-heartedness. I want some good feels. I want some things to make me happy. Harriet, what's your topic?
What a way to go on.
No pressure.
No pressure. My topic is in regards to, we talked about it earlier, is Among Us and Fall Guys. These are two games that, because we're in the climate we're in with the COVID taking over, we've been gaming a lot indoors, and you've had popular games come out like The Last of Us 2, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, for example. But these two games alone have proven how popular. You don't need big teams to make thousands of pounds of production, and these two games alone, everyone's playing them. It's literally every other video on YouTube now playing Among Us or Fall Guys. You've got so many different YouTubers now across across the streams, I suppose. I mean, you've got like PewDiePie playing with James Charles. You have like one of the senators in America playing with other people. I can't remember off the top of my head. So
Alexandra or whatever her name is. I can't pronounce her surname.
That's it. So it's kind of
politician.
Yeah, an American politician, and it's actually a perfect game actually for trying to find out who's the liar of the group.
It's orange. It's always orange.
So it's kind of how the simple things please us, I suppose, because I love both games. I've been playing Fall Guys since it came out. Among Us now I've been playing and enjoying a lot more than say Tony Hawk or Final Fantasy, even Animal Crossing, because it's just brilliant. Like this small developer, they just made something so simple but enough that lures you in, and it's great that you can play with anyone and everyone, because with Among Us you can cross-play, so you can play with PC and mobile. So I play on mobile and chat on Discord to friends. And also, going back to transactions before, you can buy stuff on Fall Guys if you want to, and you could also do the same on Among Us. So if you want to have a little child run after you and you want to pay towards the developers, that's great. That's what I've done. But yeah, it's just more like in the future. It's the future gaming, just small developers making these very simple games a thing. Because the age I am now, I get confused so easily playing video games. I can just about play Crash 4 at the moment. Because
jump, watch out for boulder, jump, run. That sort of thing.
It's a horrible game, actually. At the moment, I love it, but I hate it at the same time. But things like
that sounds like a Crash Bandicoot game.
Yeah, pretty much just fling it out the window because I'm just enraged by it. Even though they say things like Among Us and Fall Guys enrage you, I love it. I don't think I've laughed so much playing a game. So yeah, going forward, is it just kind of simplicity, just something short and sweet, but enough to entertain you enough that they could be playing it for months on end afterwards? Because I can see both games, because Fall Guys has just released season 2. No doubt will have season 3. Among Us, I think they were going to make a second one, but because it's been so popular, and I'm just reading here, there's like 3.8 million people played it last month alone. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of people, and it's had like on the App Store, Steam users it's downloaded nearly 500,000 times. Yeah, 500.
Do you know
that's a lot of murdering?
Yeah.
Do you know what's quite surprising about Among Us as well? It's not even a new game. It came out in 2018.
Really?
Yeah, information it says initial release date 15/15/2018. So it might have been an early access that sort of way, but it has just kind of sprung. It's just come from anywhere. And it was the same with Fall Guys and we've talked about Fall Guys before, where basically they announced the game, who went, oh yeah, it looks all right, just looks fine. But then the YouTubers grabbed a hold of it, and the Twitch streamers grabbed a hold of beta copies, and then it was like,
yeah. And I think YouTubers nowadays are big influencers in regards to
absolutely
buying games. I mean, for example, I watch, as you know, watch Game Grumps. They'll play a game, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that myself. Or for example, Among Us, because it's been shown everywhere. I thought, no, I'm going to give this a go. So yeah, it's like you said, it's like they get hold of it and then boom, it just explodes.
I think the interesting thing with Game Grumps as well is the famous Game Grumps, they don't necessarily play the latest of games. They'll play the old latest game if the means are there to do so. But most of the time, it's like they're doing Ghoul Grumps now, and they're playing games again that are either very low key or just not anywhere there.
In the first one, and that was actually a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I need to watch that. I'm guessing they jump a bit, especially Dan. Poor Dan.
I mean, the thing to take into account, I think, with Fall Guys and Among Us is they cute. Like the art style. The art style is so adorbs. And let's be honest, if I could be a tiny adorable spaceman and murder people, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I mean,
they are adorable.
The fan art alone and the fandom behind it's just incredible. I mean, I've drawn fan art for Among Us, and I'm going to carry on because it's really fun and it's quite simple to do. But like, and so many memes and stuff like that. That's another thing about these games. They've created more interactivity with other people, making art, making videos, etc. So it's kind of a way of bringing more people together to enjoy the games even more.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I haven't actually played Among Us yet. I've watched people play it, and I have bought it, but I keep forgetting that I own it, so I haven't played it yet. But, like, I'm on Reddit a lot, and there's a lot of fan art of Among Us, and it's like, how dare you make me cry over a tiny little... Because, like, there's all these ones with, like, as you said, the little child that you can get, and then, of course... if someone gets murdered, you've got the little child just sort of sitting there, and people have done like little comics of it, and I'm sitting there with like I'm actually crying, and I'm like, how dare you very much do this to me? It's like, it's basically a Frankfurter with a bit of marshmallow stuck across its face, and it's like, how dare you make me feel things about this?
Speaking of art, here's a little watercolor I did a week or
Red
two
is
back.
sus.
Hold on,
Red
Red is
sus.
sus. Red is sus. And of course, Harriet, of course, has done this one as well.
Hey, there you are.
Oh,
Why are you following me? You're my accountability buddy.
Yeah.
Aww.
excellent.
I just love that that you know how we were talking about American politicians playing Among Us, and how the campaign
See an Ilhan Omar do it was
Yeah.
amazing.
but the campaign against Trump has taken the whole color is sus thing and gone basically orange is sus, and they've they've made a little Donald Trump Among Us thing, and it's so funny, and you're just like the first time I saw it I actually could not breathe. I was laughing so hard, but it was just like I love the fact that whichever campaign came up with that, I'm pretty sure it was the opposition, I can never remember which way around they are. They came up with that, and it's like, yes, you are feeding into the public consciousness of what is popular, and you are making it seem to the young voters like you give a crap about what they do.
This is hip.
It's genius.
Yeah.
It's evil, but it's also genius.
I mean, here's the thing, right? You were saying, Harriet, that, is this the future of gaming? I really do think it is. I think it's the future of everything. I think it's the future of movies. I think it's the future of television. I think it's the future of gaming. I think everything has to be done on a smaller scale. I think it has to be more creative, more interesting. And I think they have to trust that even if it takes 2 years, people will get onto it. Like Iain says, this came out a while ago. It took time. It took momentum. There'll still be place for marketing in that context, because you want to get people aware of something, but there's going to have to be some sense of, instead of this thing we were discussing at the beginning with loot boxes, where Lizzie was saying, EA want to have your money and then keep having your money. You can just see the accountants going, well, what we need is this much in Q4 and Q3 and Q2, and what you'll need to do instead is make a game, put it out, and just make another game and put it out and just keep going. And you'll have to figure out some other way to secure your revenue streams so that you as a company, you as inventors and creators don't go bust in the meantime. But I think it's going to have to be just that little bit more creative, that little bit more interesting. I mean, my partner's a big video gamer. She's always been about the indie games, always. I mean, we did last year with for Bunkazilla, we did a podcast where she interviewed a whole series of indie gamers at EGX. And it's one of those things where she'll be looking at something on YouTube and go, oh, I saw that 2 years ago at EGX. It's only out. Oh, great. Well, that's worth playing. And we have a lot of games that we demo and try at home that are just small and fun. And I love them. I love them so much more than the big AAAs where I have to invest time, which is the most valuable thing I've got right now.
I think that's the point, though, Hugh, is that the small developers remember that games are supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you play a game, because you want to have fun. You don't play it because you want to be there are people who play it because they want to be the best and be elite and like pwn the noobs and all that stuff. I know the lingo. I'm hip with the kids. But there is that stereotype gamer that everybody knows of, even if you don't know someone who's like that. And then you get something like Among Us or Fall Guys. Like, Fall Guys looks like madness. It looks like absolute madness, but it looks like great fun. Like, doesn't matter if you win, you're having fun. That's the whole point.
Yeah. I think it's the most I've had in the game in a very long time playing Fall Guys. I literally just laugh just falling off the stage because it's just hilarious.
And I think if people have watched me play it on Twitch as well, they've seen me swear quite a lot sometimes and shout very, very, very loud as well. Well, it's like you fail, but you enjoy the fact that you failed, and sometimes it is the most silliest of things to go on with. It's like, oh, I'm going to make this jump. Nope. Or the best one was when I was something on Fruit Shoot and I'm just so close to the finish line. It's like, nothing's going to go wrong now. Big stick of cinnamon.
But it's called Fall Guys, Ian. It's not called Win Guys.
This is true.
Like, the point of it, like it's very clear in the title. Like, you're not gonna like succeed, because that's not the point. The point is, how hilariously can you fail?
Yes. I think watching things on YouTube like that, I do enjoy like the smaller sort of sillier games, because then that kind of gives me kind of ideas. These are games that I want to play. I mean, it's like, again, a lot of like the group games seem to be quite important. I mean, there's the horror game. Is it Phantasm? Oh, hang on, what's it called?
Phantasmagoria.
Phantasmagoria.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, and it's like someone that we host on the channel, Tori Yanami, otherwise known as our best friend Chicken. It's like I watched a stream where she and a couple of friends were just playing around, or not really playing around. They were trying to figure out ghosts in the scene, and it's kind of like it's like you want to keep watching, but you really don't want to keep watching if something jumps out at you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I hear the ghost. It's at level 4. Shit.
You're at the door.
It's like get the ghost traps, get the Ghostbusters gear, get all that stuff. You'll be fine. I'm never afraid of no ghost.
But yeah, I think it's because the people who make those games make them for the right reasons. It's not I'm not saying that there aren't people working for the AAA developers who are making games because they want people to have fun with them, but unfortunately, because they're not in control, that kind of gets lost. So you get soulless titles. Whereas, like Among Us, Fall Guys, Phantasmagoria, like they're dripping and oozing, especially in Phantasmagoria, with soul.
Mm.
Do you like my pun?
But yeah, I think it's like you're right, Lizzie. It's like they are people who want to make a game and they want to just give you a game to experience and enjoy. Whereas, how many battle royale stuff have we seen since like Fortnite and PUBG? I mean, there's been Hyper Arena from Ubisoft, which looked cool, but it was very generic when I played it.
I mean, the whole battle royale thing came across from, it was a mod for something. It was DayZ. It was like a mod for another game. I can't remember.
I don't know. Chat, if you do know, do let us know. Yeah.
Mark will know because he plays it or played it. And that was when I think that was the first really battle royale game. And yeah, okay, that looked fine if you like zombies and things like that. But Fortnite, Overwatch.
Well, it's like you got Modern Warfare Warzone, which is great for Call of Duty fans, but the only time I ever play a Call of Duty game is when I want to play the single player. It's like I don't like playing multiplayer first-person shooters. Quake Champions wasn't too bad, but then Quake Champions was just, this is Quake in a multiplayer environment. Like the old days. Give me my rocket launcher.
Like when I played it before everybody got online and it became an absolute pain in the bum. Because you had a 12-year-old who'd camp out and just take you out in order for points. Great. The good old days. The good old days. The LAN party. The bad old days.
It's like, you don't want to go online. You want to just plug it all up to the LAN system and have a group battle of Command and Conquer Red Alert on your Windows 95 machines.
Oh wow!
Or if you really want to go out there, get your Quake 2 with your Action Quake mod, and you can reenact the scene from The Matrix. Or Tomorrow Never Dies, depending on how weird you get into the internet. Anyway.
See, now I'm really going to come across as very sort of, horrible shut-in, but when I play video games, I don't want to play with other people. Other people ruin it. People ruin it, like for me.
I don't blame you, because when I had my first Xbox, when I had the original Xbox, and they just started doing things like Xbox Live, it was really cool, and I enjoyed playing things like Project Gotham Racing 2 or the original Rainbow Six. We had the little headset and you had to tell them, open, breach and clear. Open, flash and clear, sir. No, that's not what I said. And it was all the voice command stuff. But it's like, there were games that I enjoyed playing with just relative strangers, but it just got to the point where you were playing with people and it's like, for example, a racing game like Project Gotham Racing. You go down to the first corner. If you so much as touch another car, they are really fucked off about it. It's like, how dare you hit me? This isn't fair. This isn't right. And then couple that with, say, the younger gamers who want to make themselves heard. They want to make a point. So they decide, instead of actually having a normal conversation during a game, it's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to shout the lyrics to my favorite rock song in my mic.
And that's if they weren't sort of screaming racist, sexist, and misogynistic crap down the microphone as you. Because my experience of that era was very different to yours, Ian. Because hey, girls on video games in that era. There's a reason I stopped playing with the mic.
I mean I mean, it's just that sort of. I just fell out. I just fell out with multiplayer games. It's like, I think sometimes because of my game choices are very different to my normal friend circles. It's like, hey, I've sat here talked about how much I like playing WWE games. Clearly, it's okay. But if I turn around to my friends and say, guys, you want to play a game? They just stare at you and go, no, Ian, why aren't you Destiny in? It's like, but I don't Destiny in. I don't have to. That sort of stuff. So when people talk about so when family get-togethers or friends get-togethers, they talk about, oh yeah, Destiny's really cool. We've been doing this, and I'm just sat there going, okay.
Yeah, I'm exactly the
all-
same.
WWE, no, Ian. Oh.
It's all right, Ian. I didn't Destiny either.
I didn't
You're
either.
I played a bit of Destiny 2 and went, and then changed it and then focused on something else and went, oh, I'll just go back to playing a bit of FIFA.
Like, I play
Single
MMOs.
player.
I play two at the moment, which I play Final Fantasy 14 and I play Guild Wars 2. But you know why I play them? Because I can go away and play by myself. I don't have to interact with the other people in the game.
Yeah. I'm the same. I mean, these last two games are the only two I've properly played with other people, because I don't know why, I have an initial fear of playing with other people, feeling like, oh, I'm going to let the team down. So that's why I kind of stick to single players. But at least with this, you just have fun. But so otherwise I just stick to single players. And also the fact that, because you're a girl, it's kind of like, oh, she's a girl. And I kind of, switched off the mic and just like put the headset down. I'm like, okay, we'll just stick to single player then. So
Yeah,
or just deathmatch. It's like, you can always let out frustrations in just deathmatch. No, it's like, there are no friends here, only death.
Yeah, as I say, like, I think something like Among Us is a sort of like online multiplayer game that I kind of like, because you're just trying to murder everyone. That's the point. And like, that's how my interactions with people go. I want to murder everyone within 5 minutes. So, well, hey,
you're not totally sus at all.
No, I mean, I like, it's just, no. Look, I like people, and if I don't like you, then you're gonna know it.
So basically, if we were playing a game of Among Us and you murdered me because you were the imposter, it's because you like me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, good. No harm. No bad feelings. No bad feelings.
If I don't like you, I'm flinchingly, coldly polite, and if I like you, I bully you. I think I might have it the wrong way round, but you know.
That's not how social interaction. No.
It is in my house.
Right, well, we're not coming around to yours then anytime soon.
No, you're not, because COVID.
But no, I think it's quite interesting because, especially for games like Among Us is kind of like the game of a werewolf in a way, and there's been quite a lot more interest in kind of like the social games, not just on online games, but in terms of board games as well, in terms of working together as a team. So you have games like, incidentally, Pandemic,
I love that game,
and so forth. And I think it is a market that people do. It's not just market; it's a genre of game on both physical and on video games that people do like to play, and it's a thing. And the board games industry has clearly looked at it and went, "Oh, this actually is bringing lots of people in. Fair enough. Let's try and make that experience even more." And I think it's really started to just kind of move over to the video game scene, because you look at the big popular sort of multiplayer games you see, again, it's like, it is Fortnite. Things like Rocket League. Rocket League is fine. I've played a bit of Rocket League, but I'm not good at Rocket League.
No, I'm not good at Rocket League.
Yeah, it's like, run, little car, run and hit the giant football. Oh, I've scored an own goal.
I kept missing the ball.
It's like, we are. It's like when you think, I'm really going to win this time. I'm the best driver. Why am I on the other side of the pitch? But no, it's like a lot of the big multiplayer games, they're very kind of, I think because there's not much of that sort of social, I think they don't necessarily have a social bond as, say, Fall Guys or, say, definitely Among Us. I think Among Us has a very unique social connection, because obviously it is the game of lies and trying to understand or trying to read people, and it's difficult in a video game when you can only hear their voice. as well. So it's kind of like, I'm totally not going to kill you next round. Honest, knife. Just gonna hide in this duct.
I always feel like Fall Guys is like slightly based on the old game of Wink Murder. Does everyone remember Wink Murder? You know, you sit in a circle, or was my school just weird and that was what you played?
It's a game where you just sit in a
You sit in a circle, and if you get winked at, you die.
Yes,
one
I
person
remember that.
One person is made the murderer by the person in charge, usually the PE teacher. You all sit in a circle, and then if someone winks at you, you have to die, and then people have to try and guess who's the murderer is by who's dying.
Great, it was a good game.
Yeah.
Why have we not had a horror film on this?
Oh god, yeah.
Hang on, trailer voice time. It's like
Hating
they were friends, having a wonderful get together. Hey guys, let's just sit around in a circle and talk to each other. But then someone winked. Oh my god, Barry, no!
Yeah, and they have to die in more and more ridiculous ways. Just like yeah, it'd be amazing. I would watch that movie. I don't do that.
Right, we'll write the script over the weekend. It'll be on DVD next year. Let's do it.
No, it'll be on Netflix. Come on, that's where the money is. Netflix.
No, Tesco bargain bin, 99p.
Can you even buy anything in Tesco's for 99p anymore?
I can buy pasta, even lower, like very cheap pasta.
But I mean, speaking about like social games that have really taken off over lockdown, I kind of feel like the Stardew Valley multiplayer has really taken off as well over lockdown, which is very wholesome. Like, you know, and again, I think there's one guy that makes it now. I don't think he's even expanded to 2 people. Wow. And it's just like, yeah, I want to go and hang out with my friends and on a farm and grow parsnips and possibly hit a slime or 2 in the mines and go fishing. It's all very wholesome. And you can get married to each other. It's lovely. And like you see people posting videos about it online, and it's really like, it's very soothing. Yeah, so I prefer watching that sort of video than Among Us and Fall Guys, because I get very like when I watch videos like that. I think
we were talking before we went live on Twitch. We were talking about people doing like their kind of live action versions of Among Us, and Smosh Games has done one recently where they've built their own little mini spaceship in their office, and basically they have tasks to do. So they've set up tasks around these rooms, and basically they have to do the tasks. They can't talk with each other as you do in the game. And basically whoever's the imposter has like a little deck of like killer cards, and basically they have to wait until the timer's moment when no one's watching. They just walk up to someone, hand them a killer card and go, "You're dead," and then just quickly scurry off. And it's like, it's really gripping.
I mean, that sounds like the next big thing in escape rooms.
Yeah.
If lockdown ever ends.
Yeah, because I'm not going back to an escape room in COVID. I love my escape rooms, but yeah.
In just looking at the chat as well, just quickly, Loco is great. Hello, Loco. GTA 5 sold almost 500,000 copies during lockdown.
Wow,
so again,
that's just in the UK.
But I think that's probably more for. I'm obviously guessing that's for like GTA Online as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, plus I think there is, if you have a copy of GTA 5 when next gen launches properly, you can play the game on next gen platforms as well. I think it was kind of like, it was Rockstar's way of saying, you're not getting a GTA 6 just yet because you can wait longer. It's not like it's been on 3 different console generations. It's really weird for a game to be on like PS3, PS4, and it will be on PS5. It's like,
but what? But Rockstar was doing other stuff. They don't just work on Grand Theft Auto. They did like Red Dead Redemption, which is Grand Theft Horse, but you know.
And it's like, just again in their meeting room saying, we need a game, something that can sell as well as GTA. What about GTA? I like that idea. What else can we do? Well, I've just watched a shit ton of Westerns and I love Clint Eastwood. And that's brilliant, Bob. Here's all the money. Off you go. Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse. They could be Bethesda and just keep putting Skyrim on everything. It's like, what's Skyrim going to be on later? It's already on your Alexa.
And it's also on a fridge. I think it was. I don't know if that video with God, Key from Key and Peele. I think there was a skit where he was kind of like playing all the different ways to play.
Yeah, you can. The Alexa one is real. You can actually get it on your like Google Home or Alexa now, and it's basically D&D for one person.
Wow. Wow.
It's like, yeah,
Wow.
Bethesda. It's like again another publisher that's like, we want your money to be our money. Give, please, give.
Well, Microsoft will be looking after them very, very shortly.
Oh yes, we talked about that last Big Stomp,
episode.
didn't we? But technically, it's not. Microsoft bought another company which actually has part of Bethesda as it. It's not like they just bought Bethesda for $70 million or $70 billion. They bought a whole load of media companies that Bethesda happened to fall under the umbrella of.
Yeah. So now they're just looking at Fallout 76 and going, oh no.
Yeah, nuke it. Nuke it.
No.
That's not what a Fallout game should be. Sorry. That's another one that gets me angry.
I've never played a Fallout game. That's the thing. It's like, I like the idea behind it, but again, it's just like, doesn't really appeal to me, but that's just me. I have strange gaming sensibilities.
I think you would quite enjoy New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas is probably very your speed. Fallout 3 and 4 is...
New Vegas is the one with Matthew Perry, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
And Fallout 3 is the one with Liam Neeson.
Yes. I mean, Fallout 3, I would say play because Liam Neeson is amazing, but then it's Liam Neeson. Why not?
I've got a particular set of skills that will make me survive the apocalypse. Oh, no. So I think at the moment, I think the current crux of this topic is games like Among Us. Very nice for social gaming. Social gaming is running very well. It's not all about the battle royales and the death matches and so forth. Sometimes it can just be a simple game of who on earth is trying to kill you.
The government. I think that with the sort of thing of like Fallout and Fall Guys and Among Us, that this is going to be the next new trend. Because let's be honest, the Battle Royale started as a one-off and it was suddenly really popular and they were like, oh, we want some of that cash. So I suspect EA and Microsoft and Bethesda, they're all working on their own version now, aren't they?
It's kind of like for each sort of multiplayer genre, I guess there is the definitive title. It might not be a most beloved title, but like say in online multiplayer world, MMORPGs, that sort of stuff. You look at World of Warcraft, and then there were so many other games that tried to be Warcraft, and they just fell to the wayside. And it's like once one game has hit that sweet spot, that sweet spot of this is the game people like in this genre, unless you deliver a game that is somewhat exceptional above the norm in that genre, then you're kind of destined to fall to the wayside. It sounds harsh, but looking at the various different games, I mean, when Apex Legends turned up, I already dismissed it as, oh look, it's another shooter battle royale thing. I mean, yeah, credit to it, it's crafted its own little niche audience and so forth. But yeah, it's kind of like every time you see like these different sort of games pop up that are very similar, it's like survival of the fittest, I suppose.
And market trends happen, so
yeah. Yeah, or whatever fun crossover you can get in there, like Mortal Kombat. We just want old movie characters. There you go. Or Fortnite. Can we just put some Marvel characters in? Yeah, sure. Can we put these ones? No.
Yeah, and don't forget to dab.
I don't think I had a request to dab. I'll double check the stream manager.
You've taken dab away. Dab's not on there.
Oh! I might need to look into that.
No, you've taken the dab button away. You meanie.
But on the topic of community, big thank you to Loco is great for gifting a sub to Just Mark. So Mark can now give us a roar. So if you do subscribe, you get a lovely little icon that lets you go rah. So if you're looking at the chat right now, you'll see all the rahs popping up there. Everyone's having a roar. Everyone have a roar. Roar, roar, rah, rah. It's like we can do better, but What was it? We can do better. It's like, Ian, you've just delivered a half-assed raw. Fine. We can do better. Sheep yourself in. Rawr. There we go. Lovely. Done. Anyway, any further comments on the topic at hand? Because I'm keeping an eye on the timer. It's almost time to wrap up for this episode.
Just more of these, please, in the future. I like things simple nowadays. And like time is, you don't want to waste too much time. You've got others, I know we're stuck indoors with stuff to deal with, but it's just good to have just simple times and have fun.
See, you don't need to have an overcomplicated game. Keep it simple, and they will come and play. I think that is the crux of the discussion.
If you build it and make it cute, they will come.
Yes. Oh, and to sum that all up, I do have an adorable image of both Among Us and Fall Guys combined. One of us is an imposter.
Seen this?
I think it's red. What?
Excellent.
Oh, out of all the crossover graphics, that's the one that I've laughed at the most because it's like quite clearly, yes, the Fall Guys, the imposter. He did it. J'accuse.
Face. I love red.
I just love it as like a mechanic. It's like, it's sort of it's just such a weird. It reminds me of so many things from my childhood. So I'm like, how old are the developers? Like, I feel like they are like understanding my generation really well.
They know how it works. They know how to get our attention, and they're doing it just fine. All right. Anyway, we must call it there. Let me bring this over here so I can look at what I've got to talk about. So sadly, that's all we got time for in this episode of Big Stomp. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. As always, a big thank you to our wonderful panelists. And yay! Round of applause, everyone! Yay! Yeah, I'm sure the audience would have done the same as well. But as per tradition, at the end of every show, our guests have the floor to plug whatever they want, and we are going to start with Hugh.
New seasons of all of the podcasts I produce, so Real History UK, Binges and Box Sets, and Hustlers of Culture will be coming very, very soon to Bunkazilla. We have a few in the can. We're just getting edited. So look forward to those, people.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Harriet.
Hello.
Talk to the lovely people.
So I have a YouTube channel where I react to these wonderful people here behind me. I've got the last of my rewatch reactions for NSP coming up on Friday. After that, I'm moving on to Starbomb and Twerp. And in between, I'm going to try and do more reaction videos and try, if I can get a gaming set up soon, I'm going to try and do streaming, hopefully on Twitch. I don't know, but you can find me at my URL is youtube.com/MangaGirl232. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram on the same username. I do lurk about more on Twitter nowadays, just chatting to many wonderful people on there, so you can find me on there.
Lovely, thank you very much. And finally, Lizzie.
Oh, me?
Yes,
so
you.
I basically live here at this point, don't I, Ian? I'll be here on Friday.
It's like you're part of the team.
I know. It's like I just turn up for everything and you let me on. I worry about you sometimes with your choices. So yeah, I am going to be here on Friday for Quiz Smash. I am going to lose horribly because it's horror based and I know nothing. I also stream every Sunday at 6 here on Bunkazilla. We are currently working our way through the last bit of Dragon Age Origins DLC, and we're probably going to be starting Dragon Age 2, possibly this Sunday. So tune in for that. I am all over social media. I've got Facebook, I've got Twitter, I've got my own Twitch channel, which I don't really do anything at the moment, but I'm sure I'll do something. And click me on. I'm in chat, so you can click on me there and come find me.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Let's bring up my little bits thing. So with the guest promotions out of the way, I'm going to quickly give you guys a heads up of what's coming up on the Bunkazilla Twitch. So everything we talk about now on Twitch is kicking off at 8 o'clock UK time, unless we say otherwise. So Friday is Quiz Smash 4, the Halloween special. Lizzie will defend her crown in a spooky themed version of the quiz. Harriet's also taking part along with 2 other hopeful contestants. Dress up is encouraged. We're going to have a spooky good time.
Oh, you wait till you see what I've got planned.
Oh, you wait till you see I've got the questions. Anyway, Sunday, already mentioned by Lizzie. Lizzie continues Dragon Age here at 6 o'clock. Monday, I return to the murderous world of Arlington Grange as I revisit episodes from the classic Cluedo TV game show. So we're on season 4. It's the weird one with Joanna Lumley as Mrs. Peacock and people like Nicholas Parsons as Rethink Greene. It's weird, but it happens. And when one of the weapons is a flamethrower, you know the show is going downhill. And yeah, so that's everything coming up on Twitch. YouTube, do keep an eye on our YouTube channel. It's where you will find Film Raw. We have moved Film Raw over there, and we have 2 new videos every week on the channel where myself and Christian R. Allen talk about the latest movie releases across the cinematic spectrum. We have the trial of the Chicago 7 coming up, as well as Borat's subsequent movie film over the weekend as well. So do go over, hit the subscribe button, and you'll be updated with every new video as they appear. And obviously the last content plug for the show, go to the Bunkazilla website at bunkazilla.co.uk. There is a monstrous world of content to explore with great articles from the team, as well as a range of awesome podcasts. Also available on all good podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google, and also Amazon Music. So that leaves the community notices for this episode. Oh yes, oh yeah, Big Stomp is still coming back. Oh yeah, I've completely forget. One more little thing. Big Stomp will be back on November the 9th for another Host Rules show. Keep your eyes peeled on our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch at Bunkazilla UK to find out who is hosting and what you can expect. Right, so that is definitely the community notices out of the way. So before we properly say goodbye, I'm going to leave you with a fun little video that was shared to me this week. And yeah, this is the problem with having a superhero as a parent.
I think my dad just got home from work. Get up. I think you're gonna need to hide.
Hide?
Hey Dad, how's it going?
I know someone's in here.
What do you mean? No?
Alfred.
You know what? This isn't my house. That's crazy. Yeah, so we broke up.
I mean, as a cosplayer, I appreciate that Batman costume. Wow, that was a good one.
Yes, that was a Batman versus Superman costume, wasn't it? That's the kind
that was an Affleck. That was the bat flick.
Yes. Yeah. But yes, I believe you shared that video with me, Hugh, this week, and
Yes,
it was very funny. I enjoyed it. I like ending shows with a nice little bit of a laugh. Anyway,
I like the fact that they think a Batman would be emotionally stable to raise a child.
It's like, hello, daughter. Where is boyfriend? Swear to me.
It's like, oh yeah, because Batman's really gonna have a kid. Oh wait, he does.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are the Evergrades? Where are the B's? Where are the A's? And on that bombshell, thank you very much for joining the Big Stomp. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe and stomp on, monsters of culture. Stomp on. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.